agenda. We have demos. Zoltan, because if he's here, he's got the demo.
That's right.
Right.
I would have one.
What?
Yes, indeed, I would have one.
It's just my son, not one. No, let's see. Right. Who else?
Yes, I have a small demo.
Antoine? Yes.
And yes, maybe if there is time, I'll have a little demo.
Maybe. Who's missing? Nobody.
Jasmine.
He's not here. It's not missing. Maybe. Seb, maybe. We'll see. Okay. Topics. Any subject you want to talk about? Soteries. You always have some things to talk about. Are you happy?
Nope, nope.
For you.
Yeah, actually we had some issues, but yeah.
Well, you are the issue. Right? We'll see.
Yeah,
okay,
probably.
So status. Logs. We'll see later. It's merged. So update dev branch since when? The 6th. 6th at 12. Update auto setup defaults. Okay. Placement for dashboard widget. I think we saw that, yeah. Revert Lang version 9 because Razor doesn't support in .NET 3.1 C#9, so we can't say in the solution that we want to use it, because then people might be able to change it in Razor views, but it won't work on our CI because we also build on .NET 3.1. Next year, in 6 months, when the .NET 6 ships and we start deprecating the Core 3.1 target, then we'll be able to switch to C#9 at least. And then remove the feature that uses that. Okay. Fixed case sensitive recipe name for auto setup, because the recipe name is case sensitive. It's kind of sad, but that's okay. Microsoft updating this SDK because that's the best update ever. Performance optimizations, some commits that I had done a while back and never merged, so I'm recreating them. What are they? The roles now are cached. Every time you will check for dynamic content type authorization, like for each type we generate dynamically a content type authorization. For every call, it would reinstantiate the dynamic type. So now it's cached. That's related to that thing. You see, like creating some permissions, releasing them. Same thing. And this one is to optimize the usage of a grid when we use tag helpers. On Linux, creating grid is not super fast. And when we don't need that, then just don't use it. It's just an incremental identifier. It's easier. Little cleanup. Okay, cleanup test. Correct TimeFieldIndex Time :type. So since recent version of JSQL, we support time span colons, and apparently that fixes an issue. There is an update in the migration. This will only work if you come from RC2. So if you add a version older than RC2, you need to first go to RC2 to update to RC2, and then take the dev branch, because the dev branch only has the migrations relative to RC2. So cleaning was done. I think Jeff had an issue like this. So go to RC2 if you're older than RC2. Nobody is older than RC2, I think. Well, just Jeff. And then update to dev branch because this is tested. This works. Missing admin user recipe property. Missing admin user recipe property. Okay, flowing the username properties. Updated to net 505. Code me or SQL int SRI. So funny that there is an issue with the CDN integrity. I think the last time was not last week, which is interesting. Code me or SQL int. What is that? Oh, that's this specific script. That was okay. Bad copy paste. Features search. So now we can search in features for fixing it.
Yeah, for the borders to be appearing, not.
Okay. Ignore duplicate content item national IDs when importing batches. Yeah, I remember someone filed an issue, I think. So the best practice for logging in this case is to check with if it's not an error, we need to check if logger.is enabled log information, then call log information. And that's significant in the benchmarks that we do. Not for Orchard, but in general. So we need to call if logger. There is a different pattern that you can build a lambda statically as a static property and then reuse this lambda. That's what the estimate core report does, but it's equivalent to just doing if logger.is loggable with the correct level. And I think we do it mostly everywhere already. Blog post, okay. Okay, preventing from importing the same thing again. Because I assume it will say already exists, because it's a content item national ID. Remove console.log boom. Added remote deployment permissions to role management. So the permission was there, but not registered. Remove Monaco dev bit files, less files, because all these files are unnecessary. You can just keep the min files, and I think there is another commit later. Updating to Cypress 7, because that's the best version ever. Call Bootstrap make call with column number for accurate percentages. I don't understand the issue, but apparently it's better. Where is that? Where is the SCSS file?
Bootstrap-OC.
And why is this one updated? It's just formatting. Yes, someone opened it in their editor with different settings. So you say Bootstrap
-OC. Yeah, I can see the blog theme.
This one, oh, this is the CSS. SCSS, but this one. This one, this one. Rounding. Well, rounding is good in this case. Okay. That's true that it was not integral number before, but rounding ensures that. Okay. Kevin is a new contributor. Fix docs links. Use file attribute also on saving. This is not that. Okay, this is with the document store. Remove SSRI dependency, and that's because it had a security issue, and I assume updating some dependencies removed the need of this library. Remove ShellState services. Interesting. That's always good to improve. mkdocs update, fix for ranges. It's a free issue. If your property, if you use the range in the for loop and the target like for x in 1.3, if you use a variable and it was negative, it will fail. So now it's fixed. Not only it will fail, but now there is actually meaning also in the limit when it's negative. So if you put if you do in a for each loop in Liquid, if you say, for instance, limit colon 3, you say, I just want 3 items out of the list. If you say limit colon -3, you actually say remove 3 entries from the last. So that is now supported. Implementing script and style blocks. So this thing first. So here in the CS project, well, in this file, props files, what we do is if we run in Visual Studio, we just load a single TFM, a single target framework, meaning net 5.0. So if you open Orchard in Visual Studio, it will only build with 5.0. It's just an RCI that will ensure that it also builds on Netcore 3.1. And the goal is to make it faster because it's super slow if you have 2 targets on Orchard in Visual Studio. And I had the same issue with JetBrains Rider, so I added that for JetBrains Rider. So it's also doing the same thing for JetBrains Rider. Then this PR is about adding these 2 tags in Liquid to be able to write custom script blocks and not just script SRC-based scripts. If you want to write a custom script and inject it where you want, you need that. It was there in R1, but I didn't port it with 3.2, so I had to do it. And also it's updating how it's talking to, how it's rendering the resources by writing directly to the text writer instead of buffering the results in HTML content and then writing it. So it should be less allocations also. It should not change the public API, just the internal way of writing stuff. So that's good. Test. Bump post CSS. Okay. Cypress image. Okay. No, sorry, Docker. GraphQL packages. Graphical, I'll say, packages, but also Webpack. TypeScript, just minor updates, graphical updates, fixes search Liquid views. Oh, these models were not registered, so you could not use them in Liquid shapes. Interesting. Make DocumentManager a tenant singleton. let's say it's better. Sitemap manager is now a singleton. Even better than a singleton and a scope service, sometimes a transient, because it doesn't have to look up in a dictionary the service. It will just create a new instance. So sometimes it's faster to just actually use transient if you can than a scope. Even more if it's reserved only once, because you don't want to add something to a dictionary if you know you won't need it later. Cypress 7.1, 3 updates of Cypress in a week. Has to be good. Add shortcut to change password from admin. So there's a new link. Okay, and if you provide a return URL, it will use it. Otherwise, it will use the custom confirmation page. Okay. But at the same time, now there is a return URL all the time. Oh no. If you have that view data. But at the same time, oh, only if you have that, it's provided in the view data. Okay, so if you call change password, and now let's see. Well, so this one is a new link. Okay, so this new link is using it. Change password. But this one also has it now. So it's not a breaking change, but it's making one of the views obsolete. So if you're using it, you need to be aware that
I don't think it's actually making anything obsolete. It's just revealing a link that was hidden previously, and it's now available in a menu.
where logging menu, where is this view?
That's just used in the theme for the SAS recipe.
Okay, so just for the SAS recipe then.
Yeah, essentially. So all it's doing is adding the return URL to that one. It's no.
Well, but you see, it's when you say all it's doing, it's adding that. What we just saw is that if you follow the return URL, now it's bypassing. Now it's bypassing this else, which was the before, which was showing this view.
Sure. Okay. Yeah.
So now that's what I'm saying. Like, is it for everything? Like now this view is completely useless, and people who changed it, they should know that this view is useless because now it will always go back to the page where you clicked on the change password link. That was my concern. So like, is there a choice to still view that?
Well, I guess the choice would be to not provide a return URL.
Sure, and that's why I went there and asked, is this changing for everything or just for this specific theme and view? Because if it's that, okay, that's the theme, which is just for the SAS URL. Fine.
Yeah, I think just that theme and also the admin theme is using the user menu shape from above.
Yep, that's the change here. This is okay. And maybe, I don't know, because it looks like all the themes, they have the same plugin UI. So are they actually? Yeah, we'll have to check. I'm not against that, but that's a change that needs to be understood. Like, we had this view, and now we are just saying, well, nobody will find a way to go to this view or find that there is this view. Okay. Search title. Search title. Blog theme. Search. Okay, because I assume there is nothing.
There is no content item. It must have been a copy paste from another liquid view.
Search. Okay. Monaco editor preview. Yeah, because if there was no support for preview pages, like if you were to edit the Monaco editor, then you will not see live updates on the preview. So Antoine added the JavaScript necessary for that. Remove liquid type from recipes. This is from a security report that if you use the liquid part, then you can, I will say it in a sarcastic intonation. If you use the liquid part and you have access to the admin and you can write in the liquid part, be careful, you can write HTML, okay, or JavaScript, or Java, yeah, you can write JavaScript in the liquid part. Sounds obvious, but some sites that don't expect users to be able to edit JavaScript in their pages might have an issue, because if you can write JavaScript, you can write XSS. So the solution here is that we said we will remove the liquid part, the liquid page from the blog had it. So the agency theme and the blog had this liquid page. So we are removing it. The part is still there. You can create it, but if you create it, you need to have access to content type edition, and now content type edition is marked as security critical, meaning if you allow someone in your site to be able to create content types, you let them be able to also write custom types that will render JavaScript in the front end, and then they can write bad stuff. But that's something that usually we might not care about, because if people have access to liquid part, it means you want them to be able to write anything, like manage templates also, same thing. If you want to be able to edit templates, you need to be able to write JavaScript. You want to edit the templates. So don't provide this permission if you don't want users to be able to write JavaScript, or only to the people you trust. This is why we put security critical. If the users are trustful, then you can grant this permission. That's the change. Search page title again.
So it adds a segment in the title in the header.
So interesting. So why?
And you cannot do it in one line.
Why? Because the page title tag is not clever enough. It's just accepting an expression and not a filter expression or something like that. I see.
Yeah.
Okay. That's when it should have worked. We can change that. We can change that, because when we declare it, I'm sure we are saying expression. And this is not an expression, it's a filter expression.
Yeah.
So if you say filter expression, actually it will have worked. But I don't expect you to know that in the startup page folder. Yeah. Yeah, we might want to change that. That's fine. It's easy and that's safe. Okay, all good. Questions? Best changes ever. Demo. Zoltan, right? By alphabetical order.
Yep, let's do that. Let me show you my screen. I will introduce everything.
Your sound is a little low, Zoltan.
That was not just me.
Mhm.
Is it getting better?
No.
Let me try something. Okay. Any better now?
Yeah.
Oh yes, yeah. Oh wow, what
Yes.
did you do?
Too loud?
No, it's perfect. So whatever you did, do it all the time.
Actually, this should auto level out with Teams, but yeah, it's strangely doesn't do it all the time. Anyway, can you see my screen?
Yes.
A little bit small for us. Oh no, that's fine actually. I zoomed my. I don't know. Everyone else can say that, but for me it's fine.
Okay, now it should be a bit bigger. So what we are talking about here is form validation, form element validation. So here's this issue created by my colleague Gabor a while ago. And this is specifically about client-side validation for form elements. But actually, as you may know, there is no real validation feature for form elements in form elements. If you want to validate them even on the server side, you have to do that from a workflow. Which works, but obviously this could be a bit better. And what I will demo now is a solution for that. It actually wasn't developed by me, but by Spike. He is from China. He goes by the name Spike here, and he wanted to take over that task. And while he's doing that, Atomic are actually sponsoring this, so that's why I'm here demonstrating it. And secondly, it's not he doing the demo, is because his spoken English is not that good, but when it's about writing code, you will see that it's quite good. So what he did here is pretty much a complete form validation workflow, form validation implementation. So as you can see, this is for Orchard Core in the form module. It's just in a fork now. So this is a complete form validation implementation with this validator.js library. This is a pretty nice library. It has a lot of built-in validators, which we of course can execute as global methods even on the server side, and we can execute as JavaScript on the client side. So we can use this to have validation for form elements with one rule, both on the client side and both on the server side in a user configurable way. So what we have here, this is just set up with the blog recipe, but that doesn't really matter. What we have here is a quick installation with a couple of forms that demonstrate how to use that. Here we have this simple test form, which is, as you may have guessed from the name, a simple form for testing. And what it does is there's some blah, blah, blah. It posts to a workflow, by the way, what I will also show you. And it has just 2 input elements here that demonstrate some validation rules. And as I said, there are a couple of built-in validation rules in that validation.js or validator.js library. So apart from setting up the input field here, we also have this validation type field now here. So you can select from a couple of built-in validation rules, as well as this matches one, which is using regex. But of course, if you have a problem and you want to solve it with regex, now you have 2 problems, as the old joke goes. But still, of course, that's the most powerful. Still, there are a couple of other validators, and of course, this can be extended as well if necessary. But here we are just using this isint, which will, of course, check whether the input value is an integer. We can also further add some options which are available for some of the validators, as documented on the library. And you can also add a custom validation message, or you can just leave it blank and the default message will be shown. Similarly, we have another field here which uses the contains validation, which is, of course, checking whether the text contains the given text. And now, as you can see, we are actually using these validation options, and the text will be demo. And we are also using the validation message field here. So this is the validation message we will show. So let's actually try this out. I will now go to the front end, and yeah, if I try to submit it, we'll get the validation message still on the client side for the integer one. Yeah, let's add an integer. Now the validation message is gone. And we also see the custom validation message for the contains one, which of course will still remain there if I'm writing something here which is not demo. But if I add demo, we can submit the form and our workflow will run. Speaking of which, that's doing the server-side validation. So if I go back to workflows, you will see that we have a test workflow here. The first one is just an HTTP request, a standard HTTP request task or event. And next is the main points, this validation rule form task, which runs all the validation rules for the form. And it has two outcomes, one for where validation succeeded and one for where validation didn't succeed. So these are the main points. You can define validation rules for each field, and those will be actually executed both on the client side and on the server side. And of course, there are a lot more, but here's this complete test form that demonstrates all of them. You see that there's a lot of input validation going on here, which works the same way, but well, I wouldn't go through all of this because there's not much point. So that's it. I think it's pretty cool. So what do you think?
Good. Can you show us the full example, this one on the editor, just to see how it looks like? I have a comment.
Yeah. Which one would you like?
Yeah, whatever. I just want.
I think. Well, let's check out this one. There's nothing interesting, I think, because this is just
okay. So
date.
If you open the drop down here, there is the isDate and there is click.
Can you see the drop down still?
Yeah. Can you click on the drop down?
Yeah, I did that, so you can't see.
I'm just. No, we are just seeing the.
Okay, then
there is nothing dropping down.
Try it again.
It's not sharing that apparently, but you can see the whole list here. And by the way, there's also documentation included. But here's the whole list now. Okay. You can see from the names.
So my first comment would be like, why is the technical value in the drop down like is divisible by validate? Why not a nice message? Is space divisible space by?
Well,
could it be? I mean,
yes, yes. This is the first version.
And then it could even be translated this way.
Yeah, that can actually be done. So there's nothing preventing that.
Okay.
This was just the easiest to
Then my second comment is about the validation options. So it's like a generic text field where you can put anything. and some of them, and there is only one field. It's called validation options. So my concern is that some of the fields that don't require any validation option and we still see the text box. So it could be confusing. And second, it's not obvious what we can type in it, which is related to the first point. And maybe like in this case, it's regular expression. Maybe it would be great if we could say regular expression instead of validation options. I don't know how much complex it makes the whole thing, but it's kind of weird to have just generic text box and you don't know what to type in it. When you see the value, it's obvious. Or maybe, I don't know how if it could be configured, because I assume the validators are not open-ended, there is a list of 20 of them. So maybe it would be interesting to have a dictionary of samples for each of the validation type, just to pre-fill with some array text what you can type, or have a name of the field, so it changes the name of the option instead of having a generic text.
Yeah, I think these are all good ideas. Of course, this was the easiest to implement the first time, because there's a lot of variety here indeed. So yeah, this is a bit indeed clunky that way. It's very developer focused. It's not for an ordinary person.
But it's not blocking. But I mean, even for a developer, it's not obvious. Like, I'm a developer, I don't know what to type in it, right?
Yeah, well, you would need to read the documentation about it.
So if we can help, like, oh, you don't need to type anything, then don't show me the text box. Or if you need to type an integer, just show me an integer and I will type an integer. That's just the idea. How does it work on the server side? So is it just a C# implementation of the same validation?
Yeah, just a sec. I wanted to show that there is some documentation about this actually. So, well, it's still not as simple as it could be. So I completely agree. There are actually there's actually some documentation. Oh, there are typos here on what you can do and what you should fill out. What makes it a bit more complicated still is that for some of these validation rules, there are more complex options available as well, as it is provided by the JavaScript library.
Yeah, I'm sure in the JavaScript we could have a static object with name, description, and sample filled once, like containing like some kind of this documentation, but in the JavaScript, such that when you select an option, you have a nice name and it's pre-filled with some example that you can type. Then you can go to have more information on documentation, but at least you don't have to go to the documentation every time it's an easy fix. I think it's an easy change just to add a custom set of metadata in the JavaScript to have that.
Yeah, and I like the example idea. That speaks the most.
What's the name of the thing when it's grayed in the text field?
Sorry?
There is a name. What is the technical name of something that is grayed out just as a sample value?
A placeholder.
Placeholder. Thank you.
Can I ask a question, Zoltan?
Sure.
Because I saw the PR. Can you actually write JavaScript in the field that you've got there, back on your field? Can you write JavaScript, or can you just choose the functions that are provided by the libraries?
You can't write JavaScript. It's just just these pre-selected validators.
Okay. How come you're using global methods here then, which are JavaScript? Or maybe that's just, or maybe I'm just a bit confused when I saw the PR. Is because you would assume that if using global methods in Gint that you could also actually write other combinations of JavaScript.
Yeah. We could.
What about having? You have is after, is before, why not is anything, or is JavaScript and the options contain JavaScript? I don't
know. At least one option could be a JavaScript free form. That's still very, very technical, but we are already talking about developers. So that would open up some possibilities as well, I think.
Yeah, I mean, it appears from the library that it's not really a freeform style library. It's got a set of specific rules, which is I think why Seb's saying it makes sense to make those rules a bit more visible and well described in the UI. And I wasn't sure whether or not you could write JavaScript in it when I saw it, which is why I was wondering why it was using JavaScript on the server side to actually do the validation. Because it's not using the library, is it?
That's weird. That's unnecessary. It's just a switch case. It doesn't require JavaScript at all here on the server side.
Yeah, that's actually right. Yeah, this was modeled after the library, so it's pretty much the same logic. But yeah, this could be just plain C# indeed.
If it was loading the same JavaScript library, yes, you will invoke the same method name. But it is not, because I see that there are custom methods. That, and be careful, here I see daytime try parse invariant culture. And I think it should be the request culture, because I assume that everything in the forms expect the user to enter the date as their own culture and not the invariant culture.
Yeah,
just a comment. It's something that go in the PR comments, but yeah.
Yeah, that's indeed. It should be invariant indeed. All right. Well, thanks for the feedback. All very good.
But that's nice. It's very important, I think, for forms to be validated in the front end also.
Yeah, it looks really good. Absolutely. It makes sense now, having seen it as well. It's like I can understand what you can do in the front end, which is really good to be kind of less developer-y focused and just a bit more usable for actual users to put some things in.
Yeah, and it's probably easier to have validation configures for each form field versus for the whole form from workflows. So I think such an approach is better usable. All right. Well, thank you for the feedback.
Can you go back on the global method? I just want to check something. I was looking at the source code of Orchard. Yeah, the one with the server-side validation that you shared here. So go up at the class name.
Sorry, say again?
You should go up to the class name.
All right.
Okay. So, and I assume this validate rule method. Okay. So if it's registered as Singleton, that's fine. Okay. I just wanted to check how often the global methods were instantiated, and I had to check in Orchard source code how we did that. But it's good. Okay. Sorry. Thank you.
All right. Good. Thank you. I will ask Mike to open a PR under the official repo as well, and there we can continue.
Awesome. So next in line is Antoine. Antoine, yes. So smooth transition.
Yeah. Actually, it is a good transition because I'm gonna show you a change on the PR about the sticky action buttons toolbar. So previously you had the title and then the toolbar below, and now I put the title in this toolbar. So you can see it on the edit content, and I also changed it in the edit template. So there are not so many admin pages where you have a long content. So that's I only implemented it on the edit content, create content, edit template, and create template pages.
I like it, but I've already said that, I think.
So where is the option with the title in the main toolbar? Or did we say no, it's bad?
The option will disappear, and there is a second PR about the breadcrumbs.
When I mean option, I didn't say like option, like I can check. I mean, where is the example where I see it in the title, in the main toolbar?
So, for example, when you edit a template, So that's the action bar with the CSS class position-sticky, and we are moving the title dh1 into the toolbar, and the buttons are on the right, title on the left, actions on the right.
Sure, that's HTML. But when I see, so did we mention that there were 3 options, like before, like you did, and when it's in the main top toolbar, not this one, but even above, like with the admin links. If you go back on the admin,
Mm-hmm.
you see if it goes in the toolbar above that, with SAS, the moon, the silhouette on the right, no, the above.
With the buttons as well, do you mean, Steve?
Move your mouse 1 centimeter up.
I'm at the top.
No, move your mouse 1 centimeter up. There.
Okay.
Up 1 more centimeter. There. What if it's there? That's what I would like to see also, just to see how it looks like and if it works. It's always sticky.
Mm-hmm.
Minus when there is a filter, like when there is a filter for a search and everything, then it's a sticky bar like you did here. But the title and the global actions could be there, contextually to each page, I think.
Yeah,
I would like to see it. I would like to see it, just to see how it looks like.
In another PR, we are moving the breadcrumbs into this top area.
Good. Still, maybe I'd like to see everything, the title, the breadcrumb, the main actions, and then just use this sticky bar for when there is a filter, search box, stuff like that, or lots of options to show. That might be good also. Even more space than to it. And that's what I shared last time. I think that's what Azure DevOps is doing.
Yeah, but I'm not gonna be able to do this.
You can do everything. If I can imagine it, you can do it. I'm sure it's just a zone in the layout where you actually inject these things. I'm not forcing you to do that. I'm just suggesting you to, maybe I would like to see how it looks like there. It's already good. I'm just pushing the limits until it's perfect. It might not be good actually, but I want to see if we can do that, or what is preventing us from doing that. I want to understand what's preventing us from doing that.
Because as you said, it would be in a different section.
Yeah, I mean, that's not blocking for me. It's just a different section. So target a different section. It's just a different zone where you render some shapes. So what's the, I mean, Orchard does that all the time.
So potentially, Antoine, you just wrap what you've got there in a zone tag helper to go to the navigation or to the breadcrumb, whatever you named that top bar.
One day you call me, we'll try it together just to see.
Yeah.
And we can just try on one page, just like we did last time. It was fun.
Okay.
Good, thank you. Who's next? Dean? Dean is next. Maybe. I wrote maybe. So maybe Dean.
Maybe I could be next. I will try and be quick. This is, I'm not going to say an old PR. This is something I did about 3 months ago, half an hour one night, and wasn't sure if I liked it or not. So if it's not something that we really want to do, then that's absolutely fine. But we've had a number of issues kind of come through where people, this guy reminded me about it today, people want to change shapes or styles or various things in the admin without writing a custom admin theme. So this one is moving the orchard logo to a shape so it can be overridden, the icon. This particular issue here was somebody wanting to add things to the admin footers to do custom templates in the admin for his users. This one here was, again, a request about the logo and the icon without using a custom theme. And we've always kind of said just use a custom theme, but nobody ever wants to make one. So did the admin templates feature, or Seb did the admin templates feature a little while ago, and I've just done something very similar with admin widgets, so layers for the admin, which means that you can put liquid widgets, which are great because you can write JavaScript or CSS in them, and really powerful that way, just to make little tweaks to the admin layout without potentially having to write an admin theme. So basically done very similar to the admin templates feature where the code's pretty much reused across, so not adding a whole bunch of code to achieve it. And it works. I'm going to tweak the background color if I particularly wanted to tweak the background color of the admin body.
Can you inject the title in the top bar?
I reckon I probably could actually. Let's see, what would that be with?
What's the zone name?
What's the zone name? Let's find out. Yeah, then.
Because if you can do it dynamically, I'm sure Antoine can do it statically.
What's the known name likely to be? Maybe it's this one. What's the zone tag up called? I assume it's just called zone, is it?
Well, I would have expected you do it. You do a layer now.
Oh boy, yeah, good. Yeah.
That's the
Of
point.
course, that's kind of the point, isn't it?
Yeah, but that's what I was about to suggest. Why not just have a template for each zone, each shape, and then they can just override it?
What was that one called? Bar top. So that's also another option as well. And I can't say I'm particularly pleased with the outcome of this. One of the bits of weirdness with it is that these templates for this, which are normally in a front-end theme, don't get discovered. So it was something I did quite quickly one night to see if it would work.
The advantage of using layers is that you can add something or move things around. But at the same time, the complexity just to prevent you from editing some HTML, I'm not sure it's worth it. Because if you look at Thierry Fleury's PR, I assume what you just want is to use shape names. And then with that, you can use the admin template to edit the shape. Done.
Which is exactly what he's done and exactly what I think is good. You know, we've got a branding shape here that now contains those.
Same thing. Yeah.
So the kind of gut feel for me is that the admin layers thing's too complicated. But maybe what we do is put a few more shapes in this layout for people.
Yep.
So that they can just override them and do whatever they want.
We document it with what are the shapes you can change in this template, in this theme, this admin theme, and then change the names here. Boom, simple.
Cool.
So,
yeah, I think that's a better idea.
but I want to show us the layer.
Right.
Finish your demo. I want to see it because it's beautiful. Technically, it's.
Oh, let's see if it works.
Could even be dynamic. So here you can start with writing a static text, and then even better. Oh, it's raw HTML, so it's not liquid, but you could even get the title from the page injected in there.
I could.
But just type the text here, please.
Oh, it didn't work. Oh no, it did. There it is.
Boom. You see, Antoine, that's what I mean. If there is a zone there, you can inject whatever you want in this zone, even from any view with a zone tag. That's what you try to do first. So here it could be an H1. And it happens that here we have a zone on the right. We should have also a zone that is left aligned on the left. There is one with the logo, then there is one with the title, and then we have one on the right. And people can target whatever they want. That's the best.
Probably exactly is that zone.
There is already that. Did you just create it, or was it there?
I know it was already there.
So apparently we had the concern already.
Ah, no, it's there.
Ah, that's not this one. Okay,
Yeah,
that's the one.
It's not that zone.
Yeah, but, so if today we move this zone up there in the layout, it will just work.
Yeah.
That's interesting. Okay, that's good. Like it.
Yeah. Yes. 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 Yeah. Cool. Okay. I pretty much agree. Let's put a few more shapes in the base layout for people. They can just override them, and we'll get some docs and we'll do this much better. Although it's nice, you know, it's kind of cool to be able to do layers in the admin.
Adding zones and shapes doesn't even prevent you from still doing that. So it will still be a module, a feature, or whatever. But someone could do that if you want. Sure, it's super useful for us here, but
yeah, I'm not sure. It isn't an awful lot of code duplication. So in the same way that the admin templates isn't an awful lot of duplications.
We decided we copy paste the module.
Yeah, pretty much. Okay. Cool.
Thank you. Thanks a lot, everyone. What did I want to show? So what did I do? I mentioned the auto. Oh yeah. So last week I mentioned auto setup, auto branch I was working on. To support benchmarks. And so what happened is that it broke pre-compiled views in .NET 6 because there is a breaking change in the .NET 6 that the pre-compiled views now are not a different DLL than the main DLL, than the library DLL. They are in the same DLL. Before there was a .views of DLL. Well, before today, if you use netgraph 3.1 or net 5.0, you have a module.dll and a module.views.dll. In .NET 6, there is just a single DLL, module.dll, that contains the precompiled views, but it broke. Do I have a pull request here? No. It broke Orchard. And where are my commits? Yeah, and now I had to react to that, and now we are reading the correct views from the correct DLL. So now it's supported, and we support both of them, the old one and the new one. So that's good. It didn't break anything. I thought it would break something, but it didn't. So that's perfect. And this branch targets also net 6 because I need it, the benchmark, and I have the benchmarks running. So on my infrastructure, my benchmarking infrastructure, this is, let me show you if I clear that. This is what I type to run a benchmark with Orchard. So I just point to a configuration file that contains how to deploy Orchard and run it, which one I want to run, and on which machines that we have available in the ASP.NET team, and on which framework I want to run it. So I can run it on 5.0, on 3.1, or on 6.0. So in this case, I just tried 6.0. And I clear the numbers. Oh crap, I will run it now. And while I'm running it, I will click on this file that shows how it's configured. It's not the best here. I will open it there. Yes, I have it here. Orchard, where are you? Here. So this is how it looks like. I'm just saying clone this repository, take this branch, build this project. And when you see that, it means it's running. By default, use net 5.0. And these are the things that the auto setup feature allows to do. So now I can just say it will set up the blog recipe with this user, this site zone, time zone, and so on. Okay, and this database connection string. And with that, I can even use PostgreSQL or SQLite. So I have two variants of the benchmark. One that defines the environment variables for SQLite, and one that defines it for PostgreSQL. And in the case of PostgreSQL, I'm also deploying a Docker image that will contain PostgreSQL. And that's it. So with that, whenever I go to any page, it will set up automatically. So that's the nice thing with this feature. I can just go to the About page and it will set up the site. And that's what the benchmark is doing. So the benchmark here, if I look at that, I can see that it's building correctly. Now it's done, copying translation. So it starts the load job, which in this case is in Bombardier, a load client generation tool. And then after 15 seconds, it should show me the results. "30 seconds, 50 seconds, 15 seconds warm up, and 15 seconds duration." That's the default. Oh no, it's submitted, it's not running. Okay, something is blocking. Someone is running something else on the same machine. That's so sad. And I lost the previous result. But when it's done, I get the request per second, the latencies and everything. Something is running or is blocked. No, it's just broken. It's broken. It's so sad. Another try. Well, I won't go further. I share later. But that's how it works. And I'm so sad I lost the previous results. But yeah, so the idea now is that we can track the performance and try changes before we merge PRs, because it can also run on PRs, and also track on the charts that I host for SPF. So that will be the ultimate goal. That's it, just because of the auto setup feature. So thank you, Rustem, for the feature. Questions? No questions. All good. So thanks, everyone. There is triage on Thursday. And otherwise, I see you next Tuesday. Bye, everyone. Thank you.
Bye.
Bye, everyone.